Okay, go.
I got a quick. So, Gio, what'd you get for your birthday?
Okay. So backstory. Has anyone been to the revamped Montreal Ritz-Carlton? You guys stay there after they did the renovations.
How revamped are we talking?
Like they redid the whole hotel. So like back in the day when we stayed there with New Jersey, it was like an older school Ritz-Carlton. Still nice, but old school.
With the red, dark blue. Red. And
yeah. You know what I mean? Like old school.
Old school. Yeah.
They went through a complete renovation. And when I tell you it has the best bathroom in the league, the best bathroom in the league. Now, what constitutes a great bathroom?
Shower. Great shower.
Shower, yeah. I mean, but you get that. You get that pretty much.
It's got a bidet, doesn't it? It's got a bidet.
Oh, boy, does it ever. It's got a heated toilet seat with a bidet. So first time staying there, I go in. I'm like, what is this thing? It's got a remote control. It's got all like, I sit down. It's heated. I'm like, oh, that's heaven. Like, this is nice. Something you never would have thought you wanted. And then it comes down to the end. It's cleanup time. And so this is my very first time doing it. I was scared. I'm like, what is good? What is this? I don't know if I'm going to like it, if it's going to feel good. I don't know what it is. So I go and I test it out. I start out light, like the light spray, just kind of mist it up, get it wet. And by the end of the weekend, we were there for a day and a half, 2 days. I was on full blast, like just cleaning that thing out. So fast forward now, I got it yesterday. My wife ordered a heated seat bidet for our master bathroom. I forgot I even wanted this, but now I want it hooked up today.
Okay, so listen, this is what's going to happen, okay? I'm very interested in this, but I can't buy one unless I try one.
You can come try mine. I'll just make sure
that's what I'm asking.
I'll make sure the cleaning lady comes after. We're good. You can try it. You've never.
You know who else got a bidet for their birthday? Jake McCabe. When we were on the live show there a couple years ago, live show's not nearly as good as it once was. But anyway, that's irrelevant. But we had Jake McCabe on, and his wife got him a bidet too. And I think it stemmed from, no pun intended with stem, it stemmed from
Montreal.
Ritz-Carlton in Montreal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Can't wait.
All right. Well, that's an interesting gift. I mean, is she concerned about your hygiene?
No, not at all. I like to
not that she's honest with you about.
No. I like to jump in the shower after I take care of business. So I clean up that way. So now this will take out that step. I don't have to schedule my
every time you shower.
Yeah, I like to clean it up.
I mean, I thought you were
any residuals.
I thought you were a clean eater.
I'll tell you this. I'm going to add to that. Martin Rosinski, a guy that I played with in Montreal, refused to go to the bathroom at the rink at the Bell Center. Refused to go to the bathroom there. So,
and by this, you're talking about a deuce.
Yes. Yeah. Number 2, we would be out. Swear to God, 11, 12 o'clock at night, music's pumping, boom, 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 cocktails all over the place. He literally would look at me and goes, I'll be back in 15 minutes. I'm like, where are you going? He's like, gotta go home and hang shit. Like, it's so bad. I'm like, go right here. He's like, I cannot go because I have to shower after every single time I go to the bathroom. I'm like, so you're telling me that you go number 2, you hang a shit, and then all of a sudden you're getting in the shower every single time? Like, what is it? Like 99% of the time, 80? No, 100% of the time, he has to shower directly after. Every single time.
I mean, I wish I could be 100%, but I'm not.
He will not go to the washroom in certain spots. Like he will leave the rink, drive home, which is like literally 5 minutes just down the road, go to the bathroom and come back to the rink.
So what happens if let's say he's in the middle of practice and he's got a bit of an emergency? What's he doing?
Well,
exception to the rule.
I think he's at a point in his life where I don't think he would ever get to that position. Like he's so conscious.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
but you can do it at the rink because you got your shower right there.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's got something with doing it at home too.
Yes,
on top of a shower. But
absolutely, yeah.
I had a thing about I could never do it at school. When I was
I don't know if I ever did. Yeah,
I don't think I ever took a dump at school ever. Craig's got to think about this.
He's trying.
I wouldn't sit down in any of those North Bay toilets, Riv. I'll tell you that right now.
There's a lot of shady shit that happens in those bathrooms up in the Bay. I'll tell you that. I mean, holy jumping.
Anyway, so you say you need to prepare. I mean, who can prepare for that conversation? Although, Gio, I do have a little side note I got to mention for you. This is specifically for you, and I wrote this down today so I didn't forget. I'm totally going to be embarrassing somebody because I know that they're going to listen to this episode. So I bumped into a mom and son from my son's school, and kid's a little bit older, but than my son. But anyway, so he listens. He's a hockey player. He listens to the podcast. And he said, Brian Gionta is my favorite episode when he comes on. You know, I love when Gio comes on. And that's a nice compliment. It's a testament to you. However, that's not even the good part yet. So, and the mom turns to me and she says, I have the biggest crush on Brian Gionta. I was like, really? I was like, really? I go, it's not that big of a crush. He's only like yay high. I'm like, but she's like, oh no, he's just so cute. And I was just like, oh, I can't wait to mention this on the next episode. She's like, no, you can't. I said, no. I'm mentioning you. I'm mentioning your kid's name. I'm mentioning the whole thing, the whole shooting match. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to embarrass anybody. But anyway, just, you still got it.
I still do have it. At 43 years old, I still got it.
Did you guys see Leon Draisaitl's comments the other day getting into it with the reporter?
I did, yeah.
Like, how can a reporter be able to ask a player why he's being so pissy? Is that okay? That's kind of a dick move, in my opinion. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, I listened to this thing and I'm like, obviously the guys in Edmonton are fed up and furious, but how do reporters get away with this?
Well, it's storyline, right? I mean, this is a huge storyline. We're talking about Leon Draisaitl, who is one of the best players in the National Hockey League for the last number of years now. You have two of the best players in the world basically sitting in the scoring race, basically at 1 and 2, or I think Ovi's up there leading at 2. But you have two of the best players in the world in the same team, and they're struggling. How is this happening? You can hear the frustration level on Connor McDavid in some of the interviews he's had in the last few weeks. You can hear the frustration with Leon Draisaitl. And especially, to note that that interview, I think it was Ben Matheson. Is that who was asking the questions?
Is that who asked the question? Yeah,
I think it was. For me, it's oh man, I listen to it from both sides. That's what's amazing when I listen to these interviews. I listened to it from a player's perspective. because I've been in the same situation. I've been, in situations where a team has not played well, and I'm having to answer the same questions over and over and over, asking why. I know Gio shaking his head here, and he's thinking the exact same thing. Gio had to be in front of the limelight. He had to be in front of the media, answering the very difficult questions and having no answers towards them. Just trying to say, listen, we're going to have to try and work through this. That's all you can say. But at that point, in a Canadian city, in Edmonton, with the two best players in the world on the same team, and they don't have the answers. And now you have a media member who is, I would call it as an attack on Leon Draisaitl, because I don't think it's appropriate in how he was asking or speaking. And listen, it goes both ways. The players can get pissy. And, now I haven't seen this in a long time, but Ben Matheson was clearly the one who was more upset than
Jim Matheson. Jim
Matheson. There we go. Jim. Yeah. So it's a tough situation for Leon Draisaitl, answering the same questions over and over and not having the answer. He's a player. He goes out, he does his job, he produces every single night. But he's not the reason why they're losing. If you want to ask these questions about being pissy, go and ask the GM. Go and ask the GM why he is not making moves, because it's clearly not working in Edmonton.
It's hard to follow that because everything is right? Like, the player himself is doing everything he can. He has to go out there. I've been that guy. I was that guy, down here in Montreal. I was that guy in Buffalo for 3 years. It is not easy every game in and game out, being asked, what can you do? What are the answers? If we had the damn answers, we'd be out there doing it. And like Riv says, those questions should be reserved for the coach and the GM, not for McDavid, Draisaitl. Maybe reserve those questions for another member on the team that's not pulling his weight. But when you have those star players at the top of the scoring race and your team is tanking, they're going out and doing everything they can. Yeah. So that is not an appropriate question to him. He's not going to sit there and be like, yeah, our second, third, fourth line need to pick it up. Our number one D pair sucks. We need to get better. That's not on him. That's for the coach. That's for the GM to answer that question. Now, the reporter has every right to ask the question. No doubt. He's in that room. He has the right. That is his job. Now it's Draisaitl's job to answer it whatever way he wants. And I've played that game with a half-assed smirk on my face. They're asking me a question they want, and I'm answering the question that I want to answer. And he asks it again, and I answer it the same way. You're able to spin it whatever way you want. Now, that reporter needs to be careful because he needs to keep the credibility within that group. Otherwise, he's going to ostracize himself out from being able to have any kind of credible conversations, interviews,
moving forward,
any real answers.
Yeah, but who's
let me ask you this.
There's a delicate balance between looking for the answers and attacking a guy when it's not warranted. You know what I mean? Like, you can come and ask me the question when it's warranted. I have no problem answering to it. You know what I mean? And Draisaitl was simply saying, I don't have the answers. And there must have been a backstory that he wrote an article saying of all the issues that are going on in Edmonton, because Draisaitl responds with, I don't know, you have the answers. As in, he had already given the answers and he's just looking for Draisaitl to either throw his teammates under the bus.
He's listening. He's looking for an explosion.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
He's looking for an article that is going to be epic, not just an Edmonton article. Leon Draisaitl is not just about articles in Edmonton. He is a North American, worldwide article. If he blows up, it is going to go worldwide. It's going to go into the United States. It's going to go all across Canada. It's going to go over to Germany. It's going to hit outlets all over the world. Jim Matheson knew exactly what he was doing. And he asked those questions, and they're bullshit.
But
you don't ask a player why he's so pissy. That's not a question.
Yes, that's different. He had the right to ask the question, what are the answers? What do you see needs fixing? He has that right. And Draisaitl has the right to say, listen, I don't know. We're trying everything and move on. Like, he can be as short as he wants with his answer. He should not retaliate with, you're being pissy. That's the nature of it. I'm dealing with this every single day. We're trying to find answers. I don't have them, period. I'm not being pissy. I'm not liking the situation. I don't have the answers.
It's a tough look for the guys in Edmonton. Last week, you got McDavid, with showing some attitude in his interview. I mean, is that what we want to see? Are players not supposed to be a little more cordial with the media? I mean, let's be honest here, because the league jams these players down the media's throat. Like, they force them. Like, you know why Draisaitl's there? Draisaitl's there because the team probably didn't want to put McDavid there, right? So they have to put the next big gun there, and now the next big gun gets shots fired at him, and it's like that's the whole reason for that. I can't stand, and I've said this before, I hate the fact that that players need to answer after every single game. Like, that was part of Jack Eichel's problem here in Buffalo. I know he's not here anymore, but you're on a losing team. You're named captain at the age of 20, and now you have to answer all these questions. Jack's only been in the league for 100 games. It's insane to think that the same players have to go and answer questions. Like, write your own story. Get your own story. Come up with your own conclusions. I don't understand why you need player quotes.
Reporters, you need it. You need it. That's their job. That's, you don't think that Jack Eichel or Sam Reinhart or any of those guys should have been talking?
Oh, every day? You think media availability should be every single day?
We didn't
every
see
practice.
Sam Reinhart every day. We didn't see Sam Reinhart every day. And
I'm not just talking about
Jack.
A singular player. I'm talking about like a team. Why do the Edmonton Oilers need to have somebody speak to the media, or multiple players speak to the media on a daily basis? Oh, that's right, because we're trying to grow the game. If you're trying to grow the game and you want and you are forcing,
that's like saying, like, why do you need to have a briefing at the White House every morning? Why can't you just have a day off? Yes, it is.
No,
that's their job.
Are you
That's their job.
Oh my goodness! What a terrible example, in my opinion. No offense.
It's not a terrible example. You have
the White House
versus
professional hockey. Come on.
It's an analogy, Petey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wake up.
He's been struggling waking up too.
You don't think right now that NHL players should not have to talk? Here's the thing.
Not every day.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. The players that don't talk are the ones that are winning. When's the last time you seen Barkov have an interview in North America? When's the last time you've seen Nate McKinnon talk? Or, like, you don't see them talk. It's not on Sportsnet, or it's not on.
Is that just because they're all praising him and they can all come up with their own?
Because they're winning and no one gives a shit. They're just like, wow, the team's playing well. It's not just about McKinnon, because you just look over and you got Kadri's playing excellent, and you got Cale Makar, and everything's just going well there. And the writers are happy, and there's no tough questions. They're just, everybody's smiling. Then you look at Edmonton. It's a tough situation. It's a Canadian city, and they want answers. And guess what? It's the best opportunity for all these writers to write. You think you want to be the guy in Colorado that's just like literally going to the rink every day?
The story in Edmonton,
winning streak.
The story in Edmonton is you have two of the top three scorers, arguably the greatest player in some people's opinion to ever play the game, and they're terrible right now.
Yeah.
And that's the story. And I don't understand. I don't understand why we can't protect these players from having to go and answer these questions. I mean, and even
because McDavid's,
but you're not getting anything anyway, Craig. You're not, like Gio just said. He's like, I had to talk to the media. You've had to talk to the media in Buffalo and Montreal as well, as captain and leader. Like, you're not giving them anything. No one's ever giving them anything.
That's your job.
But that's someone you look at. I don't know. You look at a young guy like Eichel or whatever in Buffalo. They do give something. Their body language, their attitude And now what happens is that feeds the media into whatever story they want to give. And so that's why you have, I don't want to call it media training, but like that's why you continue to protect yourself in the media and players continue to do it, because the minute you say one thing that's taken out of context, that, like Craig says, that's running nationwide and everyone's going to see that. They're not going to see.
And our time in Montreal, Gio, you spent 5 years there. Okay. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. You were not only did you spend 5 years there, you were the captain, an American captain, which has never, I don't think that's ever happened before, right?
Pacioretty.
And then
Pacioretty.
So, did you try to speak French like Pacioretty quickly on a side note before Riv goes on?
Yeah, I had a French tutor for the 5 years I was there. I tried. But I told the media I wouldn't do anything on camera. You know what I mean? Like I would greet them in French when they were, when I in the scrum or whatever, just like, hey, how you doing type. But I never would. I told them I'm not going to do it in French. I'm not going to put myself in that situation because of one time I say a sentence the wrong way or it's misinterpreted, then I'm going to look like, you know what I mean? Like that.
But that was my point that I was getting to.
You have
played in Montreal.
You have reporters that you're comfortable with, that you trust, that you can speak a little more freely knowing that they're not going to run with it. They're not going to sewer you. And you also have the reporters that you are super guarded against because you say it any which way that they're going to spin it and turn it on you in a second. So you know who those guys are within the room.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Tortorella and Larry Brooks in New York feuded. There's reasons why certain guys, I don't know this Matheson at all, but he may be a guy that continues to stir things up and players don't want to give him anything. Now, that's on him he can ask the questions, but when you say this to Leon Draisaitl, why are you being so pissy? You know what? No one's going to trust you again. No one's going to give you anything more than the standard issued answer, as in the basic of all basics, and you're not going to have anything to write now. But that's the bed that he's laid in. You know what I mean? And the player has the right to answer whatever which way he wants. He does have the right to be in front of the camera and answer for it. It's big business. It's $1 billion industry. You need to answer for your performance. You're making millions of dollars. The team, the media, the fans have the right to an inside track of what's going on. They're paying it, right? That's part of the business. But sucks.
Don't we know as players?
I will always defend a player. There's no doubt about that. I'm a player-sided person at all costs. So
you have to realize the guy that you're dealing with.
That's your media. That's your media guy, though, too. He needs to see you. You just smashed 4 sticks in practice because you're frustrated. He needs to understand, I'm not putting him in front of the media today. Gio's not available today. He'll be available tomorrow. He's not available today. He just talked for 4 straight days after a 3-game losing streak. He's not available today for practice. He answered your questions last night at the game. He's not available today after practice. And they don't open up that room until I'm undressed and out of the room, and I don't have to take care of that next day. That's also on the staff.
Were you a stick smasher?
Only twice in my career was I. And I apologize to Willie. It was in Buffalo. And I apologize to Pierre Gervais in Montreal. And the jury, actually, I don't know. I might have told the story on the old show, but Nathan Boyu came in and he had Nate the Great on his stick. And I went to Jerv and I said, listen, he's got 6 sticks there. I'm cutting them all down in half. He will not use those with that name on them. Are you okay with it? I'll pay the fine. I'll do whatever you want to do. Are you okay with it? And he gave me the blessing. So I cut down 6 brand new sticks because they said Nate the Great on them.
That was Nate Boyu?
Yeah, he was a rookie, just fresh out of the OHL. Great kid. But that's not the first impression. That's not the first impression you want.
Well, that's the equivalent to Derek Roy. That's the equivalent to Derek Roy having these DNR gloves made back when he was a rookie, and he put on him the Dawn. He had the dawn on his gloves. Riv, were you going to say something about that?
Well, no, I was just going to say something about the Jim Matheson and the reporter out in Edmonton. And you alluded to that, you have certain interviews with certain guys, and if they cross the line, they get blackballed by players. Players completely shut down with how they speak to this guy or girl, right? Would you agree with that, Gio?
Yeah, exactly.
You got to understand, Jim Matheson is a Canadian sports journalist that has covered the NHL's Edmonton Oilers since the inception into the WHA in 1973 and into the NHL in 1979. This guy's 72 years old. He has been covering the Edmonton Oilers since the start of time. So this guy in particular, this is just my opinion, and it's only my opinion, he's allowed to ask these questions to Leon Draisaitl, who's only been in the league for 8 years? This guy has been doing this.
Is he allowed to say, why are you being pissy? That question? Or are we just asking about looking for answers? Because he has the right to look for answers, but does he have the right to attack him and say he's being pissy?
I will say this, and this is just my opinion, might be unpopular, but when you've been doing this for almost 50 years, his leash is really, 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 really long. Okay. I didn't know who said it to the Leon Draisaitl. I looked it up. I listened. Now I'm reading up on this guy. This is not some guy that's out of college, that's 25 years old, that's getting his feet wet. This is not a guy that had even been covering a team for 10, maybe even 15 years. This guy has been covering this team for 50 years. 50. I'm going to tell you right now, that would be the equivalent to back when I was there with Red Fisher. Okay. Red Fisher was the most iconic Montreal Canadiens sports reporter in the history, probably in this game. Okay. Red Fisher is iconic. Red Fisher can ask whatever he wants. He will talk to whoever he wants. That is the way it goes. There is a respect factor for these sports reporters that have been doing this way before some of these guys were even born. And in this situation, it's not a question that I would want to answer from 99% of the media in the National Hockey League. But for Jim Matheson, he has put in his time to be able to go and have these discussions publicly with certain players.
Part of the problem,
that's just my opinion. That's my opinion. And
I agree that he's got more leeway. Part of the problem is with the climate of things in the world right now, this guy's sitting behind a screen. He can't pull Draisaitl aside after the scrum, right? I'm in a scrum with 10 reporters around me. You're asking the question, right? I answer it whatever which way, and then everyone disperses to the next guy. So everyone comes, let's put a picture of what it is in the room. So we're waiting after a game, after practice. Doors open up, media rushes in. There's certain guys available, certain guys not available. So say me and Rivs are in the room, we're both available for media. There's a big scrum around each player because you want to get the questions in one hand. You don't want to talk to 12 different reporters. So there's a scrum. Now they're done asking me the questions. They go over to Rivs. Matheson stays behind. And now we have a somewhat private conversation, right? It's off camera. It is a little more.
It sounds maybe something like, hey, you seem kind of pissy in your interview.
Yeah. It's a little more
Everything
trusting.
all right?
Yeah. It's a little more trusting. It's a little more private, a little more intimate. And now we can get into it a little more. You're never going to give the full story. I don't care who you are. The players are always going to protect the room. Their teammates, they're always going to protect what's going on. They're not going to give the full story, but they will give insights into what is going on. If you go back and you read quotes or whatever people are saying, if you have been in a room, that's what these reporters do. That's what players do. You know what's going on. Certain things are said a certain way, and you can read through the lines. Now, that's the conversation that's going to happen privately, especially with an established guy like Matheson, right? So,
yes,
unfortunately, that isn't happening now. They're on a Zoom call. I'm sitting on a podium. All the guys are zoomed in, and they have 3 chances to ask the question. And so now we can't have our private, intimate. For some of these people, it's been 2.5 years since they've been in the room.
Yeah.
And so there is no relationship.
And there's certain
built between the
reporters,
player and reporter.
There's certain reporters that, and what you just said goes back to my time in Montreal when, for an example, to give people that are listening an idea that, Red Fisher didn't speak to rookies. You knew that, right?
Yeah.
You heard this before?
Yeah.
So Red Fisher never spoke to, there were some superstar rookies that came up and, people want to listen to what they have to say. Red Fisher never once did an interview with a rookie. Okay. Which was incredible. But once I remember he would not even talk to you. When I say not talk to you, he would not talk to you. I remember I walked up to Mr. Fisher, walking into the Bell Center one day, and I said, "Good morning, Mr. Fisher." And he looked at me and never said a word to me. Not one word. Just looked at me and then looked away. I was less than 5 feet from him. No response. I was a rookie. That being said, moving forward, you may call that, arrogance or ignorance or whatever it is. It was just the way it was. And I respected that. I respected the process. I built a relationship with Red Fisher throughout my time in Montreal. And what Gio is saying, just like what he's saying, there was the media report. There was, you would have, how many people did you talk to on a day in Montreal?
There's at minimum 15 to 20 every single day between print, TV, because you got French, you got English, you got all the different
everything.
So it's like the playoffs for any other team. Every single day at practice, there's these sliding electric doors in Montreal. They open up, and there is a horde of cameras, reporters. You're
looking at anywhere from minimum 6 30 to 10 cameras.
Yeah.
You have another 30 media members, and you do that every single day. Okay. They video every single practice. So if there's a slash to a teammate or a push or a punch or an argument, they have caught everything. And they're asking you every single day, every single movement that you make, they will catch it. Okay. But what I was trying to get at is with Red Fisher, who is very much along the same lines as a Jim Matheson in Edmonton, is they would pull you aside. And this didn't happen to anybody in that 40-man media group. None of them, after you were done and spend your 30 minutes talking to the media, not one guy had the credibility to basically pull you aside and have the private conversation where you opened up more than what you did in the actual media press conference. Okay. So like you said, Gio, Jim Matheson, obviously very frustrated, but does he have the ability to ask these tough questions because of who he is? I'm going to go on the side of yes, he does. And did he ask it? And is that something Leon Draisaitl wants to hear? And the answer is no. But this guy is something different.
Well, what he was looking for. Go ahead, Gio.
No, let's clarify. He has every right to call Draisaitl pissy. Every right. But
he was being kind of pissy. I mean, they're all pissed off over there in Edmonton.
He's not wrong in that sense. He has every right. But everything you do has consequences. I don't care who you are. You know what I mean? So with being able to speak your mind and have the right to say whatever you want, he also now runs the risk of those players not opening up to him, those players not feeling safe around him, those players not feeling guarded around him. He has every right. And then the player has every right to just simply ask the question or answer the question that he's asking and move on and give him nothing else from that point forward. It's just the nature of the business.
Well, this is kind of this would be my message to the media today. And that is, you're begging for players to be more open. You want players to show more personality. You want players to show more character. This is not the way to do it. I mean, it puts a bad name on all media when a guy asks a question like this, because other players around the league are going to see it, whether they're in markets like Carolina or Florida. I don't know what the media is like in Florida, but it's like, I look at that and I think, this is exactly the opposite of what we want. And that's why I don't like media availability. I don't think if your team is terrible, Riv, correct me if I'm wrong. When the Sabres had Reinhart, Risto, Jack, and we'd see these guys get interviewed and you could tell they were pissy. Correct me if I'm wrong. And did we not say, man, players must think that media member is a total dick, but my God, is he asking great questions? It creates entertainment. It creates year-end press conferences when teams have struggled. They missed the playoffs 5 years in a row. I remember when Darcy Regier was almost, hung out to dry a couple years ago, like 5 years or whenever this last year was, when all the Buffalo media were there and they were grilling them. And it's just, it creates entertainment, but does it? Well, I think it does more harm than good.
Well, look at O'Reilly. Now, whether his comments were targeted or not to get out of Buffalo, his comments were absolutely dead on right. He lost the love of the game because it became no longer fun to go to the rink. No one wants to go to the rink when you're losing. No one wants to do it for multiple years. What is hard about it is, I've said it, I think before, is you're going to the rink trying to find answers every single day. Being mad, being upbeat, like things are positive, and the shit doesn't work. And after a certain point, it just becomes a drag to go down there every day and try to build off of something, trying to find something to build off of. So it no longer becomes fun in the sense that it's not enjoyable to go there, just like anyone else's desk job or anyone else's anything. If things are not going well, you don't want to go. So when they're good.
Think about the players that have been in this organization that we had to move. Do you think we wanted to move Jack Eichel? He's one of the top 10 players in the world. You think we wanted to lose Sam Reinhart, our second overall draft pick? Think we wanted to lose Rasmus Ristolainen, who had been here for 8 years and has lost every single year?
I feel like they were.
We're talking about Leon Draisaitl and
out.
Connor McDavid. Okay, we're talking about Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl in Edmonton. They've lost for just this year.
I don't think you're driven out.
I mean,
you're not driven out. What happens is losing is no fun. It sucks everything out of it, and eventually it comes to a point where you need a change of scenery, and that's why you see these players succeed. Yeah. O'Reilly goes to St. Louis. He starts loving the game more because they're winning. He's around teammates that are upbeat. It's fresh.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I went to Boston my last year. And when I tell you, it relieved everything. I don't want to say the fun of the game because it's cliche and it's what O'Reilly was saying, but it was fun. It was fun. We had a chance to win. It was fun going to the rink. A good group of guys. Everyone did the right thing. You weren't sitting there nitpicking someone what they were doing that morning that they weren't being professional or they were showing up late. That shit didn't happen.
Maybe it's not
to go
found
and just concentrate on playing, just have fun playing the game again. It was
maybe it refreshing. Wasn't maybe I'd like to because I do want to know exactly the emotion that you felt. Is it so you didn't maybe find the fun of the game again? Because I believe the game is always fun, whether you're winning or losing. I mean, like it sucks going to the rink some days, but you can still have fun. But did it alleviate the strain of being on a losing team?
For sure, for sure, and that's.
That alone can
even
help
more so, 100%. And I went there without my family and 3 kids, which is hard enough as it is. I'm in an apartment, and you don't have your family. that is one of the saving graces when you walk out of that rink, is that you are coming back to your kids that don't care what the hell happened at the rink that day. They just want you to be present and be at their practice or help them with their homework. And so I didn't have that, but it was still fun to be there because you were enjoying going to the rink again. And it was no longer that stress and drag of how to find answers. It just is what it is. And O'Reilly was 100% right. Whether you like it or not, that's the state that they were at the time.
Back to what you were saying, Riv, just before we move on here to some Sabres talk. You were saying they've only been losing for 1 year, but it's not even that. It's the expectations, I think, that were so high in Edmonton this year, right? That is creating.
You don't think that Buffalo Sabres had expectations after they signed Eric Stahl and they signed Taylor Hall and they went out and they made moves to make this team better? They went and got Cody Eakin, which was that like third, fourth line center that they needed. They went out and got a lot of. You don't think that there was pressure on Jack Eichel, Sam Reinhart? They have already lost for like what, 4 years, 5 years? I mean, there's pressure on Jack Eichel. And I'm going to tell you right now, I feel bad for Jack. I really do. Like, I mean, no one wants to. I know, you know, and Petey, you know what it's like to be on a team that's winning. But I also know the exact opposite. I know what it's like to be on a team that doesn't make the playoffs, a team that struggles, and a team that can't find an identity, and a team that you're just going to the rink every single day. You're doing more video than what you should be. You're more time on the ice because you're trying to work out of stuff. There's more meetings with your coaches, with your leadership group, with like, it is constant and it wears on you. It wears over and over and over. So I've seen and been on both sides of it. I cannot imagine being Sam Reinhart, Jack Eichel, two guys that came in at the exact same time, Rasmus Ristolainen, and those guys have an extreme amount of pressure, okay? Rasmus Ristolainen was playing 25 to 30 minutes a game on a horse shit hockey team. And you know what? He got a bad name because his defense wasn't great and this and that and all this kind of stuff. I mean, Jack Eichel is here in Buffalo eyes, we think of Jack Eichel's body language and the way he talked to the media. Like he was 18, he was 19, he was 20, he was 21, he was 22. Like he was a kid. These guys are kids. I don't care if they're making $10 million and they're 21 years old. They're still kids. They haven't experienced anything. And all they've experienced here in Buffalo was losing. And it's not from Jack Eichel. It's not just from Jack. Jack went out every single night and he produced every single night. So did Sam Reinhart. But what happened to the lineup behind? It's not just about one or two players or three players on a hockey team. It's about a team that wins you hockey games.
All right. Let's talk about a team that won a hockey game last night that I think, the Sabres went into Ottawa, won a game, and there were some really positive things that went on in that game. Number one, I'll start with Michael Hauser. I couldn't be happier for that guy. Okay. I mean, stopped 43 of 44 shots and
big saves too.
Yeah. I mean, what else can you ask for? Just a great story. I mean, it doesn't stop there, but he just seems like a guy that anybody would want to lay down and block a shot for. I love that guy. But Craig, you tweeted out after, who was it that got run over? Was it Will Butcher by Tkachuk?
Yes, Will Butcher just got absolutely lit up by was it Brady Tkachuk?
Brady Tkachuk.
Brady Tkachuk with a great clean hit. It was a beautiful hit. And I know most people or some people out there in the media would not like someone to react off of a clean hit. You're like, well, why do you have to react off a clean hit? Because that's your teammate. That's your teammate. And you don't want liberties to happen with your teammates. So sometimes you have to address these things. And some people, some people's opinions, they wouldn't want to do that. But in my opinion, this is just my opinion, is I absolutely loved what John Hayden did last night. He didn't even think twice. Gloves were off, went after him. It was a spirited fight. And I'm going to tell you right now, that resonates I cannot tell you how much that resonates. Number one, for Will Butcher. And number two, for every single guy on that bench watching. It was awesome to see. You don't have to be the toughest guy in the world, but you got to be there for your teammates. John Hayden set the tone for that game. Good on him. Well done.
How about Jankowski's?
What are you laughing at, Gio?
Well, just the subtle daggers to the
he went right through the camera at me, was speaking to me. Listen, a few weeks ago when I said, "Why does someone have to answer to a clean hit?"
Went right over your head. Then I wasn't talking about you. Not talking about you. That's for damn sure.
A few weeks ago, I made mention. A simple comment saying, I don't get the fact that you have to fight for a clean hit. I do understand your point, Rivs, that someone on your team gets hammered, a response is warranted. I agree 100%. So I just wanted to clarify whether or not you were speaking directly to me.
No, I was not speaking to you at all.
Or if you're talking about somebody else.
No. Like, listen, I mean, Marty Baron and myself have had these discussions since the start of time when it comes to what you do when your teammate gets hit with a clean hit. And I'm going to tell you, Brady Tkachuk's hit he knew exactly what he was doing. It was aggressive. He charged in there and he absolutely smoked Will Butcher, whose head was like damn near up his butt when he was trying to carry the puck around the net, which is like he deserves to get hit, right? But listen, I mean, there is a response immediately, and I mean immediately, not 3 shifts later, but immediately right away. John Hayden set the standard for the Buffalo Sabres walking into the Ottawa Senators arena. And I'm going to tell you right now, it does not go unnoticed whatsoever, not only for the guy who got hit, but it's the guys that are sitting on the bench. And you can start to see that, wow, that's how we play a game. And that's what we do, because that is my brother. That is my brother that just got lit up there. And I'm not going to allow that to happen. I don't care if it's clean or dirty, you address it and you move forward. You move forward in the game. But John Hayden set the standard for that game.
I mean, I was a little concerned for Oposo there when he got run by the boards right before Jankowski scored a goal that I don't think I've ever seen before. I think everybody was waiting for a whistle.
There was 14 players on the ice too at the time. It was unreal. Did you see how many Ottawa had at minimum 7 players on the ice? Because they had 4 in that scrum.
And they had possession of the puck. And they had possession of the puck for a second.
But again, in that situation, you have Kyle Oposo carrying the puck up the ice, and that defenseman, I think it was a defenseman, made a beautiful hit on Kyle Oposo. Kind of caught him off balance a little bit. Kyle Oposo went flying into the boards. I think probably hit his head, off the boards. And immediately there is a response. Mark Pysyk was the first guy in there. He went in there and basically gave the response. Did he have to drop the gloves? Did he have to, make it a complete shit show? No, he responded to a clean hit, but it was a response that needed a reaction. That is team toughness. That is showing that if you do these things, we are going to react off it every single time. And there's 4 guys in there. There was even Victor Olsson kind of doing the policeman. He was kind of had the arms out, making sure there wasn't more guys coming in. Meanwhile, the whole team was, in there already. But I just love the response from the team. The boys were in there, getting nasty, sticking up for each other. And then I'm going to tell you this. No one is talking about this. But Mark Jankowski went and skates back, strips the puck from Brown, the defenseman, goes in on a breakaway. And what a beautiful move. What a beautiful breakaway, little fake. Goalie goes down, goes around him and gives the old tuck in. It was a beautiful, beautiful breakaway goal.
I've been impressed with him. I know we'll get into him with our midseason grades, but I thought that was a great win for the Sabres last night. Alex Tuch, 7 points, 7
awesome.
games. I threw out a tweet last night.
Jeff Skinner's flying. Jeff Skinner's playing. He's playing the game.
It was a good win. Let's not say great. It's the Ottawa Senators. It's not a great win.
What does that mean?
It's a win. It's a win that they should have had. It's a good game.
Should we have had that win?
They did.
They went in, and I'm going to tell you this: they should have beat Detroit. They went into Detroit or played Detroit last game. They lost in overtime, but they were up 2-0.
Yeah.
Okay. They played a very strong hockey game. They had scoring chances. They moved the puck well. I thought they played a really solid game. They completely, and I say completely, dropped the ball. When you get scored on your power play to make that game 2-1, you give life to Detroit. They were dead in the water. Detroit did nothing the entire game. They did absolutely nothing. But that is an opening. And you know the way it happens in this league. If you give openings to teams, they stick around, they get that tying goal. They needed to win that game after the 4-0 loss in Detroit, after a great game in Nashville. Just a great game in Nashville. I sent out a tweet from the After the Whistle account last night, and we'll get into our midseason rankings. But I basically just said it. And look, I know it sounds biased because, we like the player, we know the family, we all do. But I just said Alex Tuch, 7 points in 7 games as a Sabre. Speed, size, skill, and heart. No brainer for next captain. You guys were captains, both for this organization in Buffalo. I mean, is that not one of the main reasons why you think Kevin Adams went and brought this guy in, was so that he could develop himself into the next captain of this team?
I don't know that he knew that yet, right? In Vegas, it was a much different makeup of a team. What he brings and what he does on a day-to-day basis, I wouldn't say you classified him as a leader in Vegas, but he comes and does the right things in Buffalo, and now all of a sudden he becomes your leader here, in the sense that he's been around something good, right? He's been a part of it. He's matured. He's playing the game the right way. So I don't know that Kevin Adams went out looking for him to be the next captain. I think where he was depth chart, leadership wise in Vegas, is a much different landscape than what he is with the Buffalo Sabres. So I don't know that move was made. I do agree with you that he's certainly high up there as a candidate for the next captain if he continues to do the things the right way. And that's without even being behind the scenes and knowing, right? We're on the outside, so it's hard to say, but what he brings to the table every day, that's what you want out of a leader on your team. But I don't know that Adams had that information before he made the move to Buffalo.
River, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit of time. This year there's no captain for the Buffalo Sabres. I think there's going to be a long, hard look at what they have in the dressing room. Someone's going to emerge. A captain always emerges, unless you're picking a young guy where you're going to support around him. I would think that Alex Tuch is certainly someone has been in the league long enough, who's had success in the league long enough, who's at the right age to really take responsibility, for a group here in Buffalo. It would not surprise me whatsoever if he was named the next captain, but I think that only time will tell. I think there's going to be a long, hard look at the leadership group here in Buffalo. And I think in today's game, there's not just one. We don't have Mark Messier's anymore. We don't have Stevie Yzermans anymore, or Joe Sakic's. We don't have those guys anymore. They were singular, dominant. You listened and did whatever they said because they ran the show. In today's game, there is leadership by committee. I find there's more of that. You give voices to players that you believe have leadership qualities, and you do it by committee. And I think Alex Tuck is going to be in that leadership committee. I don't know if he's going to be the captain. That's for the Buffalo Sabres to figure out through time.
Okay.
In their room. I do agree with you, Rivs. I think a Tuck is certainly supported by a veteran guy like an Okposo or something like that that's been around, right? Like, Tuck is not the most veteran of guys. He's not a rookie. He's not a veteran. He's on that in between. But the leadership group is huge within rooms. It's not it's not 3 guys. I would say it's 5 to 6 guys minimum in your leadership group that is driving your team on a daily basis.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a wrap on another episode of After the Whistle. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, After the Whistle, and at Craig Rivet 52, at the Instigator 76. And you can find us, as you already know, on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and anywhere else where you can get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to spread the word.